I feel like everyone out there has a soft spot in their heart for at least one random Mario enemy. Like, come on, there's gotta be at least one Bombu fan out there, right? But, as it seems recently, a lot of Mario enemies have taken into their first ever playable role in Mario Kart World. In the game, the characters are sort of split into two different categories. That being your normal characters who get costumes, and your NPC drivers who have no costumes and can also be transformed into when using the Kamek item. Most of the NPC drivers are enemies from the Super Mario series, but there are a couple outliers. But that doesn't really change that today I'm going to be going through all of these enemy characters and figuring out who is the GOAT. We will be doing this in your typical tier list fashion. Now, keep in mind this is my opinion and pretty much just vibes based, so don't take this too seriously. But I don't think we really need to dwell on this much longer than that, so let's start at the bottom with... Now, just because a character is in D tier doesn't mean that I don't like them, it's just that I think that they are the worst comparatively. But you will probably not be ever seeing me play as Conqueror. And it's not that I don't like the guy, my friend Arthur likes them, it's just that their inclusion kinda does nothing for me. They're not so crazy weird that it's kinda funny, and not so awesome to me that they got in. Along this note, but slightly better, we have Piranha Plant. Honestly, they probably deserve to be up higher, but they were put down slightly because I think their inclusion might have made them got rid of Piranha Plant as an item, and more importantly, Renegade Route-Up. Though I seriously doubt that second option. But that's honestly pretty much it for D tier. It's the shortest tier by far because they are pretty much just characters that are only mildly worse than C tier. And speaking of C tier, beginning C tier, we have Pokey, who barely escaped D tier because they have a funny emote. Jokes aside, I think Pokey is just sort of okay, though it doesn't really help that Pokey can't really emote, as they don't really change their facial expression and don't really have arms. Now, I don't really know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't really care for Chargin' Chuck. He's one of the enemies that it just seems like Nintendo's trying to push lately. But I think that he's just okay. I mean, no shade to the guy, he's just fine. Also, he is the character it took me longest to unlock, so fuck you. Did anyone expect Goomba to be high up? I mean, not to be rude, but I don't think there's an overwhelming amount of Goomba fans out there. But it is about time they got into Mario Kart, you know? For being the most infamous Mario enemy out there, it's weird how until lately they were largely left out of spin-offs. But the fact that they are here now isn't gonna get them much higher. Sidestepper is like Goomba if they were even less popular. Honestly, they are pretty similar and I could swap them and not really care that much, but I already wrote the script and made all the assets, so sorry. They are a fun addition, kinda never thought they'd get to see the light of day again, especially as a playable character. But I guess if you gotta make all the enemies, you gotta do Sidestepper. They are funny looking though, so they get some points. I kinda like Cheep Cheep. They're pleasant, you know? It's kinda hard to talk about these characters that I can summarize my thoughts on their addition with a resounding neat. But all in all, I kinda like Cheep Cheep. They're funny looking. Fishbone is probably the weirdest addition to this game. Like, who out there wanted this guy? Now, I know this makes me sound like a little bit of a hypocrite, because later I'm going to be talking about why my favorite obscure guy is awesome, but Fishbone doesn't have any arms or legs, which at first makes them pretty funny, but after that novelty wears off, I'm kind of just left there thinking they're just kind of weird. But I like that they added Fishbone, because when they are funny, it's pretty awesome. That's it for C tier. I think we can all agree that most of these characters just really aren't that interesting, but now let's get to the slightly interesting. In B tier, we finally have one of the few characters that have appeared in a Mario Kart game before, with our first being Wiggler. I like Wiggler, but they're also just one of those characters where I find it a bit strange that they don't have any costumes. Wiggler could have easily gotten a gardener costume to go along with Luigi and Peach, but I still like Wiggler. They used to be a bit more special because there wasn't a ton of normal enemies as racers, but now among a lot of oddballs, they're just good now. I like Monty Mole. Like, I ain't gonna go crazy over them, but they're a fun addition to the cast, and also a returning racer. Well, only from Mario Kart Tour. I think Monty Mole could have also gotten some cool costumes, but it's not as big as a deal as it is with some of the other NPC racers. Also, Monty Mole's voice lines are very cute. Guys, I admit it. I think Coin Coffer is really silly. They really don't need to be here, but I appreciate their vibes. His stupid-looking giant mouth is pretty funny, but I can't in good conscience put them higher in my mind, because once I look at the other guys, he's just silly, and not much else, you know? Did you know? Penguins are my favorite animal. I think they're pretty cool. But I also think that the Penguin in Mario Kart is just cool, not the long version. But overall, I still like Penguin. I play them every now and then. I kinda wish they were smaller. Like, it's kinda strange that they're around the same size as Mario, but I'm just nitpicking now. Dolphin falls into a similar category to Fishbone, and not because they're both fish, well, that is true, but for the fact that it's quite strange that they're here. Like, they can't reach the pedals, and he doesn't even sit in the car or bike or whatever. But I still think the fact that Dolphin is here are quite funny. Also, Dolphin have one of the funniest emotes in the game. I have a friend who probably won't like that Spike is in B tier. Hi, Evan. But I do like Spike. But there is something strange about Spike's face in this game. I can't really put my finger on it, but I still like Spike. Their awkward blank stare warms my heart. And also, top tier emo, by the way. Finally, rounding out B tier, we have Hammer Bro. I'm honestly quite surprised Hammer Bro hasn't been in a Mario Kart game before this. I know he was in Tour, but I don't think many people know that. He was even found to be planned for Mario Kart Wii. I do wish that the other bros were here as well, but I think that Hammer Bro is an underutilized Mario character, so I'm just glad he's found his way onto a console Mario Kart. That's it for B tier. We're now making our way to what I consider the good stuff, starting with honestly, the biggest surprises in this game's roster to me were Pianta and Thou Who Shall Not Be Named from Super Mario Sunshine. I'm not the biggest fan of Sunshine, but even still, I'm always a fan of getting more niche characters in these spin-offs. I also just find the Piantas really charming. I kinda wish again though we got some costumes for these fellas, especially since there are multiple that could have just been taken from Sunshine. Cow is strange, you know? I mean, she doesn't have any facial expressions, just locked in a blank smile. But I think it's pretty awesome to have the mascot of what could be debatable as one of Mario Kart's most famous tracks. Doesn't necessarily mean I think Moo Moo Meadow should be here, but that's a topic for another day. Cow is funny. I like seeing Cow. She makes me happy. I think Swoop is meta, or at least not like the best character still, but you know, good. My point being that Swoop isn't high because they are the best character in the game. It is because I like him. The fact that they are, I think, the smallest character in the game is really funny. And also another top tier emote. Along with this, I do usually think that the fact a character can't reach the steering wheels or the pedals is a downside, but with Swoop, I don't know, it's just really endearing. Just seeing this little guy sitting there. Stingbee is in a pretty similar boat, though they do have legs. Also, I didn't really mention this during the Dolphin segment, but I think it's really cute that a couple of the NPC drivers have vehicle equivalents, like Stingbee and the Bumblebee. But I just think Stingbee is a little cute fella, what can I say? I mean, I can say that I like him, but I think that was probably inferred. Not to repeat myself, but the biggest surprise in all of this roster was Cataquack. I mean, it had been 17 years since we'd last seen this guy in Super Mario Galaxy, but I've always loved these guys. Their goofy expression and the way they run up to you on sight is just endearing. When I was younger, I would sometimes just sit in Beach Bowl Galaxy as the Cataquacks would just launch Mario up in the air over and over and over and over. But nostalgia aside, the Cataquacks are just fun, and are the exact character I'd like to see when Nintendo decides to add random enemies to the game. Finally, to top off A tier, we have Dry Bones. Now, out of every character in this game, maybe minus one, this is the character I'm surprised at the most for having no costumes. Hell, he even has a track named after him, and he's a returning character from multiple earlier Mario Kart games. And even Koopa got costumes. But that's besides the point. Dry Bones is awesome. You don't need me to say that. You know, boner fandom is dying, such and such. But everyone should love this funky dude. But that's that for A tier. And now let's move on to our final tier, the cream of the crop. When beginning S tier, you were probably wondering one of two things. What could possibly be above these characters? Or you know who's left and you might be judging me. Anyways, who likes Snowman? Snowman to me is the peak of weird characters. Like, I have no earthly reason to why he's playable, but I love him. His blanket smile and funny spins warm my cold dead heart. But even for being a character this high, I really don't have much to say on him. I mean, just look at him, he's awesome. It is about time that Nabbit was in a console Mario Kart. But Nabbit out of every character is quite strange to be with the rest of the NPC racers. As far as I know, he's the only NPC racer who should only have one of them, like, canonically, and Nabbit is prime for getting some costumes. I mean, he doesn't have any other appearances that I know of, but he feels a lot more like a main cast character. But anyways, Nabbit is a super fun character and I love seeing him show up in any Mario game. Hell, I even put him on my Tomodachi Life Island. I think out of everything on this list, people might disagree the most with the fact that Rocky Wrench is the number 3. And honestly, before I play this game, I would have agreed with that sentiment. But their stupid, charming face and manhole cover won me over. It's especially really funny seeing them wear a crown over said manhole cover. I will defend this little dude because I think they need some goddamn respect on their name. Guys, Parabitty is so awesome. I mean, like, have you ever looked at them for like more than a second? Hell, I even put them on my Tomodachi Life Island. I think I already used that excuse, but still. The Bitty Buds are one of my favorite Mario enemies, and seeing them in Mario Kart is so awesome. The way they just waddle around, it's so freaking awesome. But unlike Rocky Wrench, it seems like the majority is still with me on that one. But finally, that only leaves one character in my personal GOAT of Mario Kart World. Peepa. When I originally wrote this script, I actually had Peepa and Parabitty swapped, but the more and more I sat on it, I just couldn't do that to Peepa. First off, I think they have one of the coolest tricks in the game, where they stick their tongue out and they go like, bleh. And their bedsheet ghost aesthetic is really cool. But they're just a cute little guy. What can I say? I'm a sucker for little guys. But all in all, to say that Peepa is my pick for the best NPC racer in Mario Kart World. And that's that. Thanks for sitting with me while I ramble about how my little guy is better than your little guy. And trust me, the second Nintendo puts Ninji in Mario Kart, I will be the #1 Ninji fan. Mark my words.